I now realize this strange truth, that the conscious soul which constitutes me was now beyond, as it were, all the circumvolving material atmosphere surrounding the earth, and that it was rapidly approaching the awful and vast spiritual ocean. Presently it ceased its flight, turned earthward, and made the following discovery. First, the spiritual pervaded the etheric sea. This is, in turn, the ethereal, that the magnetomic, that in turn the electromic, that the magnetic, that the electric, and that in turn the earth sphere, or odyllic emanation, which in turn pervades the atmosphere, or oxygenic, so that man really breathes several atmospheres instead of a single atmosphere, the highest of which quickens the spirit, as the lower does the body. Turning the gaze outward, a fine, glorious, soft, silvery sea was seen spreading away in all directions, and the eye had no difficulty, as on earth it has, in traversing space through the corporeal structure and several earth airs. In this clear expanse of spirit floats uncounted globular monads, infinite in number, infinitesimal in volume. They are each enveloped in a fine electric substance, which surrounds them perfectly. The spiritual waves bear them on its bosom to the earth, and by a mysterious power they are drawn to human male brain. Through the lungs they enter it, become lodged, remain till a certain physical work is completed, then descended and effect their mission through the aid of the prostate gland. At certain times they leave this gland, pass it to the uterus, enveloped in the prostatic moles, are caught up and carried to the womb, and the work of the incarnation is effected. My business is with facts here, therefore I shall briefly state what I beheld and leave others to theorize, satisfied, as I am, that I have penetrated the grand secret. Here, in these aerial kingdoms beyond the domain of matter and sphere of what we call nature, or natural law, which of course does not govern spirit, it is having a mode of its own. I found two sorts of monads, the one perfectly globular, which constitutes the germ of the man, and the other ovoidal, which constitutes the germ of the female. There are always two together. In couples they come from the ethereal God, in couples they may return. Placed in the uterus, these come in loving relationships with a subtle spirit originally in the female monad, subsequently energized in the woman, condensed in the ova, and there is a blending of elements, the external of the monad and the internal of the ova, and from this blending springs a third something, which is the nucleus of the nervous body, so to speak. This nucleus robs all earthly things of their vital life, plants, flowers, food, drink, and so on, through the instrumentality of the bodily organs. This union produces an improvement in both. Together they attract the great spiritual substance, or atmosphere pervading our air, and then the child is quickened and rises in the pelvis. The very instant that the first spark of the great spiritual atmosphere passes to the babe, the monad increases in bulk, bursts its bond, and envelops, passes from the fertile lungs to the brain, locates in a pineal gland, radiates through the corpus callosum, energizes its body, and lo, the soul has entered upon a new career. As said before, the soul grows in two ways. First, by development, unfolding and awakening. Second, by acquired knowledge and experience. The latter is of and for the earth. The former is of and for the soul itself. The one depends on circumstance and accident. The other is above and beyond both. There may never be much of the latter, but the former must go on to infinity. Both may go on to a great extent on earth. One certainly will in the hereafter. All these things I felt, I saw, and knew, as I floated there on the shores of the spiritual kingdoms. Have you ever beheld golden rain of a rocket on a stilly summer night? You have. Well, just so God rains monads for himself. Spirit is the emanation of God's body. Monads are the coruscations of his soul. These truths can never be demonstrated. All spiritual truth is real, and demonstration is effective only in reference to fleeting appearances. The logical faculty deals with what pertains to us on earth. That which pertains to the spiritual requires some higher power of the soul. It has it in its intuitions. The logical faculty deals with progress, intuition with development, unfolding. Organic the one, central soul the other. Intuition will be one day substantiate my discoveries when I am dead, and this writing is a century old. At present there is really no spiritual philosophy at all, scarcely an approximation thereto. We have not even spiritual nomenclature, and it is exceedingly difficult to convey spiritual facts or ideas in terms notoriously adapted only to the expression of transitory earthly knowledge. Swedenborg's ideas are worth all others on the great subject, yet he even must read in Latin or German to be correctly understood. The English is the tongue of commerce, has too much ring of the dollar in it to be used to express spiritual things. I shall try to convey my experiences as to be understood, yet how can I hope to be? How make the fact known that one human soul is actually larger, deeper, greater than the whole material globe? That is the sun within the cerebrum, a moon, a solar plexus, and its sun rises when we wake, and sets, retires to the vertebral column, sinks within the great ganglion behind the stomach when we sleep. That it has stars, the nerve villi, planets, the ganglia. It has a Milky Way, the great nervous cord, comets, in short, everything that the outer world has, and much beside. How shall I express these facts so that it is to be understood? For the terms I use do not convey the exact meaning.